Hello, welcome to Wisdom Tree's Fireside Chat. Today's discussion is about cybersecurity, and I'm pleased to be joined by Mabeen Tahir and Elvira Kurumshina. More and more stories are now focusing on cybersecurity. What have been the biggest data breaches, and what does this tell us about the direction of travel for cybersecurity?
So, an employee working in the finance team gets an email from the CFO of their organization. And this email is instructing them to make a payment of 25 million US dollars to a certain account. Naturally, they are suspicious, but then they jump onto a video call with the CFO and other members of management, and their concerns are alleviated. Shock of their life, that turns out that the CFO and the rest of the management were all deep fakes. And this just shows that sophisticated tools like AI can go into the wrong hands and create a lot of damage. And that means that cybersecurity must always innovate and must always stay one step ahead, because this was a real story from a few months ago.
We all interact with technology on a daily basis without actually ever thinking about the underlying cybersecurity risks. For example, every time when we shop online, our data needs to be protected. And let's take there Amazon as an example. So it is the largest global marketplace with hundreds of millions of customers and the data that needs to be protected. And what Amazon does, they essentially developed an internal threat intelligence tool called Medpod to protect their customers and also to make the online community safer overall. The way the Medpod works is that it uses a vast network of digital decoy systems called honeypots. And they work as threat sensors, essentially attracting potential attackers. And Amazon then uses this threat intelligence to enhance the security products and make the internet a safer place overall. But what was notable in 2024 is that Amazon reported a surge in those daily threats that they were seeing from 100 million to 700 million a day, basically reflecting a seven-fold increase. And that increase was largely attributed to proliferation of generative AI. So with increasing digitalization and faster AI adoption that we are seeing today, our interaction with technology will only grow, and this is exactly what makes cybersecurity solutions ever critical by day.
As we're seeing the adoption of AI accelerating, new vulnerabilities and threats are emerging. So does this make cybersecurity complementary, or could it even be a defensive strategy alongside AI?
So in 2024, the average cost of a data breach worldwide was 5 million US dollars. And we've seen in the last few years that that average cost has consistently gone up. And that's the average number. So some data breaches would cost a lot more. And in many cases, the cost of the data breach is unquantifiable. Just imagine the reputational damage that a business can actually endure in the case of a cyber attack. Or what happens if a hospital gets attacked and a life is lost? This means that cybersecurity is non-negotiable, which is why we see that demand is probably going to be resilient no matter what the market conditions may be.
At Wisdom Tree, we are looking at cybersecurity landscape through the trends and innovations that are shaping the space. And innovations are a must for cybersecurity companies as a response to the ever-evolving threat landscape. So grouping those trends and innovations offers a lens to view the companies and assess how they are positioned to capture those growth opportunities. So if we look at the current cybersecurity landscape, such themes as data security, AI-enabled security, identity and access management, endpoint security represent some of the key areas.
So how can you invest in cybersecurity without doubling up your exposure in traditional indices like the NASDAQ or the S&P 500?
So at Wisdom Tree, it is our ethos to learn from the best. And that's why we partner with industry experts. So for cybersecurity, we've partnered with Team 8, a venture group with deep expertise in the cybersecurity space. And we've built an ETF that invests in pure play cybersecurity businesses. And when you do that, you have a very low overlap with, say, the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ 100. So not only do investors get access to that growth potential of cybersecurity, but they also get differentiation versus things that they might be holding elsewhere in their portfolios.
Together with Team 8, WisdomTree identified 8 key areas that are driving the modern cybersecurity space to build the ETF. And Team 8 informs the selection of stocks through a metric that we call the focus score that reflects how each company is exposed to those 8 key themes. And the idea behind the focus score is that companies having higher exposure to a theme are better positioned to capture its growth potential. And the more themes the company taps into, the better its growth opportunities are. To assess how companies are monetizing those growth opportunities, we are looking at the second metric called the growth score. Those companies which are passing our revenue growth thresholds make it into the portfolio. In the final step, we leverage again our focus and growth score framework to tilt the portfolio towards those companies that are having broader focus and higher growth rates. And at the same time, we're also underweighting those companies that are growing at a lower rate and that are highly exposed to only 1 or 2 themes.
Elvira, Mobeen, that was fantastic. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure, Annika.
Thank you, Annika. That was an absolute pleasure to discuss cybersecurity today.